Good afternoon, friends. Hopefully I have better luck on this live than I did on my live stream yesterday, which I got caught in the rain because Bentley decided to go for a walk in the drizzle. Then it really rained. And then he decided to have a one-dog party, got me hung up with a damn street sign in the rain. And then I somehow managed to put people in timeout in my chat because my hands were wet, which I did not mean to do, by the way. So if anyone's still timed out for whatever reason, hey, Nunya, my apologies for that. Hey, Fed Up. So, yeah, that was not one of my best premieres. Yes, hey, Neil, what's going on? Hey, KP. By the way, so silver, for those of you, to Neil's point, silver has been dipping, getting close to about 20, and then coming back to the 23, 24. That's spot, not with the add-ons for the dealers. So keep an eye on it, and if you know a dealer, hey SSG, what's going on? Hey KP, Grateful, Coffee, Nunya. So folks, I've seen, hey Nostra, a lot of footage lately. So yeah, to the point, watch the silver prices, because if they take little dips, that's a good time to grab a coin or two. And remember, you don't have to go crazy. You could get little bits at a time and keep it in budget. But yeah, gold and silver, remember, that's been around since the Pharaoh. So, hey, 500 Magnum. Hey, Nostra again. So I've seen a lot of footage lately on a couple other platforms regarding people protesting for and against Israel, Hamas, Palestine, whatever. And they're getting to a point they're very quickly becoming violent. It almost seems like a replay of 2020, but instead of like Black Lives Matter, they now have a new groups fighting each other instead of like the Patriot Boys. And more blue to share links. More blue to share links. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Pennsylvania. So there's been a lot of street fights between pro-Hamas / Palestine and pro-Israeli. And I don't think a lot of the folks are happy about the war in general. But what's winding up happening is people are getting inflamed. And, oh, more mods. I gotcha. I'm protesting for the protection of Americans. Right, true. What we're seeing is a lot of emotional instability. And this gets tough because a political thing is one thing. Drop links. Hold on, you know what? Let me get to somewhere where I don't have a truck up my ass. Even though I'm over the speed limit and this guy's gonna try and cut me off in a solid yellow line area. There's a gas station up here. I'm gonna create a mod here so we can drop links for each other. But what I'm noticing is people are inflamed. And people are getting to the point where they're not even having conversations anymore. So there were a couple of Jewish elders who got attacked by a bunch of pro-Palestinian protesters. Then there was a case where there was some pro-Israeli folks started throwing, started throwing something at other folks. Let me see who's in the chat right now. Hold on, let me, hold on, I'm trying to make, well, that sucks, it won't let me make mods. I don't want to give myself a super chat, that's silly. All right, hey, Mimi. TikTok. All right, for some reason now it won't let me make mods, which I don't understand. Well, that sucks. All right, well, I'll next time I'm in front of my laptop or my iPad, I'll add mods. Oh yeah, no, Fed Up, I was gonna try, but it wouldn't. Oh, there we go. All right, let's see. I think Fed Up has been promoted. Yay, there we go. Hey, Macabus. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties again. I'll tell you all what. I went on, so you know Prepper Now, right? And his crisis report, he always does great reviews. And he had a premiere go on. It was supposed to go on at 8 p.m. my time last night. And, hey, Hayes Gray, what's going on, brother? And his premiere 30 minutes later hadn't come on, which is exactly what happened to my premiere. And I never saw if it actually went on. We've been having a lot of issues. Neil, I don't know if Economic Ninja's been having any issues with his, because he does 3 live streams a day, so maybe it's different. But some of the premieres have been absolutely screwed up. So it's really, okay, he has. Yeah, there's been issues. There's something screwed up. Like I said yesterday, for whatever reason, my chat put Kevin in a timeout for no reason, which I wasn't trying to do. And then it wouldn't let me do anything. So my mods, I had Vision and Mad Shad and Wolffang jumped in. Hey, Tiffany, welcome. And they were trying to put the guy back on, like just return him, and nobody had the ability to do that. And neither did I. It was absolutely bizarre. It's like we lost control of the chat. And the mods and the owner, me, couldn't do it. So I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, back to the original subject. The issues going on in the streets are going to accelerate. And what's concerning to me is there's a lot of attacks on... Hey, thank you, Fed Up. You didn't have to do that, but I do appreciate you. The fog-related pileup, I saw that. Now, KP, was that the twin span going to Slidell? I lived in Louisiana for years, so I know the southern part of the state very well. Thank you. Joe's volunteering as the Chupacabra. Hey, book club. But folks, I gotta tell you, the violence, they're not even protesting, they're not having conversation. Dan H, yeah, no kidding. It was an I-55 on the west side of Lake Pontchartrain. Oh, so it was across the lake, not the twin span between New Orleans and Slidell. Holy crap, because I've seen the Louisiana fog. Okay, I know exactly what it is, Kate. You go past that mall in Kenner, right? And then you go north, you hit Hammond. No, you hit LaPlace and go to Hammond, or vice versa. I know which one you're talking about. Oh, God. And that, by the way, folks, that's like a 12-mile bridge or something like that. Like, there's no way to get off. You're just stuck on there, and there was a bunch of accidents. Hence why you should have a get-home bag in case something like that happens. You might wind up on foot. But anyway, folks, look. These folks are just lashing out. They're getting amazingly violent. They're going from protesting to assaulting people. So a few folks from Turning Point were interviewing a few pro-Israeli folks in front of some kind of civic center. And there was a Palestinian protest on the other side. And at the time, they were separate, and all of a sudden, they just come across. I don't know what provoked it. And again, it's only a snippet of video. So you can't, I'm having issue. I cannot remove links dropped into my comments chat, and it will not even give me an option to remove. Been fighting with YouTube 2 weeks about it. Oh, for crying out loud. That sucks, Casey. That's not bueno. But there've been a lot of attacks. When I lived in, and then things are getting strange. Remember I told you guys, watch your demographic, watch your local area. In Houston, in my side of town, when I lived there, northwest side of Houston, there was a big mosque. And it was a community center. They had farmers markets. They welcomed the community. You'd see them participating in Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. This was a very proactive mosque. And whenever I'd have to drive by there to get to certain stores, and they had like teenagers playing basketball with an adult being the coach. Like, it looked like a church for those of you who are Christians. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. That's your house of worship, and the community goes there. And Houston sucks. I'm here today. Oh no. Hey, Grateful. But I've seen out here west, there's one that's very active and one is brand new built, and there's nobody in it. And I mean, there's been nobody for months, not even on Saturdays when they do prayers, not the Friday prayers. I never hear the songs anymore. It just went dark. And it's really weird. It's like when you see that church that always has the pancake breakfast, and all of a sudden nobody shows up on Sunday and it's just empty. And you drive by for Sunday breakfast and you're like, why is the church so empty? Like, it's just weird. Watch for those kind of changes. There's something freaking weird going on. Because, again, I have a lot of friends who are Muslim, and if I visited the mosque or I was in it nearby, it was a community center, right? It was the center of their faith and their community, and they were getting together and having fun and whatnot, or praying, or collaborating. And there's some churches and mosques have just gone dark. There's synagogues now that are hiring cops to direct traffic, even though the population for the synagogue is relatively small compared to, say, a Baptist church in Texas. There's been a shift in the community somehow, and not just here in West Texas. I'm seeing it all over Texas, and to me that's really weird, and it's kind of concerning. And then you add to the fact, ooh, that guy almost turned into a police car. That would have been a great video. Not that I want someone to crash into the poor cop. Cop's like eating his breakfast and gets hit. That would suck for the cop too. And then I saw that paperwork. But something's changed. Something's weird. Before poverty, my female friend. Watch for those changes. These protests, even I don't remember the BLM being this belligerent with each other. I personally care for it. No, and Neil, I totally understand. But I'm just saying, when you see places of worship, regardless, that are normally community centers, and they're busy, and you're like, okay, that's a house of worship, and they're all together celebrating or whatever, and all of a sudden a few of them just go dark. Like, there's nobody there. The lights come on at night. There might be a maintenance guy. There's no one there, ever. And I'm like, y'all just built this big building and there's nobody here. And it's weird. And maybe it's nothing. Maybe there's a reno. Maybe there's another problem, but it's strange. Now, there's a guy in Queens, for those of you who didn't follow him, it's a very small TikTok channel. They've been finding shopping carts, not the Walmart style, but the old like laundry style, like our grandparents used to use, bicycle chained to posts all over Queens Boulevard. The cops have removed about 7 or 8 of them. I don't know what's in them. This guy's been reporting on and on. I'll try and share one of his videos later. I'll have to do a splice with his TikTok to get it done. But when you plot them, so I opened up, because I lived in Queens, I opened up a map of Queens and I started putting pinpoints. Okay, you've seen those two, Coffee? I started putting pinpoints on where he saw them. Every one of these shopping carts was either by a subway station, a bank, or a synagogue. And that was really weird. And so he's been going out on Queens Boulevard on his scooter. And, well, Neil, they have a long-standing war with the Hindu and Sikh folks as well. But this guy's finding these wagons, and then he's calling them in, and like the fire trucks will show up and they'll take it. I don't know what's in the wagons. I would think if it was drugs, you would do a better job of hiding it. You wouldn't put it on Queens Boulevard, for Christ's sakes. That's like putting it on Fifth Avenue. Just leave it out in the open. But it's weird, and they're bike chained with that big metal lock, not like that little wimpy one you get at Walmart. Like, it looks like an industrial lock. Yeah, the grandma carts. Thank you, Grateful. And I'm almost wondering if they're doing a dry run. if they're practicing, and it may just be full of blankets right now. So the one I saw, Coffee, had like packages in it, but it looked like folded up blankets. But I wonder if it's a dry run. They're trying to see how long does it take for people to notice this? How long does it take for the cops to show up? How long does it take for firefighters to remove the object? And to me, that's super concerning, because that's a great way to time out police response, fire response, which precinct is responding to what. And that's absolutely possible. We're looking for logic in insanity times. It's absolutely true. But what I'm noticing is there's a lot more belligerence between the lockdowns from the Rona and now the war, the economic issues. People are losing their marbles, y'all. I will tell you right now, we last went to Austin, and this was not to visit family. We were just, the wife and I went to dinner. We left and we decided, let's walk around, because there were supposed to be stores and boutiques. A lot of them were closed because the homeless at the time were all over the place. And I had this guy following us about 20 meters behind us, yelling at the two of us. And my wife kept looking back, like I would physically turn 180 and walk backwards looking at him. So I straight up made eye contact with the guy, and it just emboldened him to be more of a shit. And we wound up turning the corner, and someone was going the other way with a German Shepherd. And the German Shepherd lunged at the guy because the guy wasn't right, and the guy walked away. But he was trying to close distance from behind, but I kept stopping and turning around, hey, Nene, and making eye contact, and he'd hesitate. And my wife was like, well, what do we do? I said, let's just get back to the truck. Because what I wanted her in the truck. Because if something's going to go down, I don't need her in my line of fire, so to say. And we were headed back through the parking lot, and he was still following us, and he'd been following us for about 8 minutes. But he stayed, like I said, about 20, 30 yards away. But he was following us. He was pointing at us, yelling. When we got to the truck is when I turned around and I stopped. And I was starting to unholster when the guy with the big-ass German Shepherd turned the corner. And the dog saw the guy and flipped out. And the guy, that scared him. But I was thinking to myself, this son of a bitch was going to probably come at the truck once we parked. And I was probably going to have to smoke this guy in the parking lot, which would have been awful. Because now we got the law enforcement involved. It's like, it's so many little things. The fentanyl crisis, which is just making people zombies. The meth is making them violent. This isn't like heroin or pot that makes them kind of docile or zoned out. Like whatever the hell's in the street now is making people belligerent. But then you add to the fact people are just angry. They don't need drugs. And this is something we need to pay attention to, folks, because as the economy gets worse. Yeah, and again, I always try to lead with respect and kindness to other folks and then see where it goes. The chemicals are different. See, and Joe, I honestly, there's something different in this. Hey, Moldy, what's going on? Right, so to Farmer's point, there's a lot of what they call jugging, which really is just a portable carjacking, right? Instead of carjacking you at the bank, they follow you, but then the cuckoo ducks know what you drive. Well, they could, and that's fine, but I was in a completely different city. I was like 5 hours from home, so if they want to drive 5 hours and pick a fight with me in a town where I know the sheriff and the county judge, that I have more liberty with. Austin, I don't want to get into a situation in Austin because, how would I say it? Their laws are starting to remind me of San Francisco, and I'm not liking that because I want to be able to do what needs to be done and not go to jail, even though I was correct, both legally and morally, because some DA made a decision that, oh, we're going to make an example of someone, which I would be a very loud example because I'd be all over the news at that point. But you're seeing that instability. So I read a report, I saw a report this morning, and then I asked my wife to confirm it because she was a realtor once upon a time. Thank you, Fed Up, I appreciate that. And guys, I do appreciate the support, everything you guys have done for me. I started this for giggles, and yeah, it is good food. And I'm hoping I help folks along the way because, you know, it's just weird times and folks don't have a lot of perspective here. But with the drugs, these new drugs, this stuff is different. It's not like what you saw 10, 15 years ago. The inflation, people can't afford housing. So this morning we saw that report on the news. The median household, not the mean, which would be the average, the median, which would be the middle of the whole graph, has gone to where the average home will now cost the owner $3,600 a month in mortgage versus what it was, say, 5 years ago, where it was down in the 2,000 range. That's a huge, huge jump. You think about if you're paying $2,000 a month for a house, and now you buy another house, but now, or the same house someone buys now, and it's almost $4,000. That's a doubling of cost. Chain, they go to base level. Okay, see, that's interesting, Joe. I need to read up on the acidity of these different drugs and what it does. But point being, people can't afford homes, and in the report they said it has officially gotten cheaper to rent than to buy a home in America. And all that can think of is that reminds me of $65 a month when I was a kid. God, Nostra, I wish. They affect the brain and change the brain very easily. True. That big a jump makes it impossible for new, especially young families, or someone trying to get out of debt, they're trying to get out of poverty, and they found a good job, and they're trying to get that house to build some equity, to build some personal wealth, and they can't do it now because you can't afford the damn thing. And all these young couples can't afford anything. And that's going to have an effect. And it reminds me of the, you will own nothing and be happy, right? Which Mr. What's his name? Klaus said at the WEF, right? If you read Karl Marx's manifesto, and I did buy a hard copy of the manifesto, and I've read the manifesto, the abolition of private property. Okay, they don't even hide the communist anymore. They don't hide their plan. It's in the freaking open. They want to have what communists would refer to in Marxist days as communities of women. In other words, there is no husband and wife. Now keep in mind, Karl Marx was looking at the aristocracy and saying, well, you guys are all rich and you just hand it down to your kids. Yeah, they will be happy. Kill it and grill it. You're 100% right. Because they're not going to give up. Keep in mind, the people telling you not to drive your car, not to fly, not to travel, you must eat bugs, are the same people who fly private jets everywhere. And they have their own security. And, yeah, I can't show that. They have their own security. Take when the peons eat bugs. Right, and Prepper Book Club, it reminds me of the movie, what's that damn movie with the train in the snow? Snowpiercer. The back car, what they were feeding them. And it's that, but they're not wrong. The Snowpiercer, the guy who came up with that was not wrong. And the reality is, as these stresses get worse, right? The war, this religious war, which is what it's becoming, we're going to wind up tangled into a conflict that really is not ours. And it's going to cost lives. It's going to ruin economies. The next world war will not be, even if no nukes are involved, it's not going to be a foreign war. It's going to come home. Okay? Now, if I'm already watching pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli people punching each other in the streets. 4 years ago, we had Patriot Boys and communists and Antifas and Black Lives Matters and cops all punching each other in the street. We've already got the division set. We've already got the break apart set in our society. I feel like they're just trying to tip it over. But I don't think it's just going to happen here in the US. Whatever happens is going to happen all across the West, because it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. Watch yourselves in the streets these next few months. Be careful when you're out and about. Somebody had mentioned, getting followed, getting carjacked, getting followed home, which would be a jugging, what they call. They find you at an ATM or a store. You walk out with something they want. They just follow you home. And it's often two cars. One is spotting the store. They'll say, okay, that little Plymouth or whatever, that Honda just left, red Honda, and then they'll follow. Yeah. And Neil's absolutely right. Try to be kind, be helpful, be grateful. That's a great phrase. But be vigilant as well. Pay attention to what's happening around you. I have seen so many videos of weird shit lately, and it seems to have accelerated. The weird grandma shopping carts in Queens, the Prepper Book Club. That's a good one. Stay strapped or get clapped. Talking to be at work, making me miss half your video. How dare he? Well, Coffee, don't get in trouble. I got caught between two meetings. That's why I jumped online now. Pay attention to how these folks are acting. And Book Club's right. You have more inflation, more thefts, more robberies, more drug use. It all becomes a little negative cycle. And my fear is it's going to become to where people will just randomly, and they're doing it now, they're just randomly attacking people because they perceive you as being from a certain group. Like if I were wearing a red baseball cap, it wouldn't need to have anything on it. I could have a damn picture of a corgi, but they see that red cap and they'll be like, you're a MAGA guy, right? Or I put something that vaguely resembles an Israeli or Palestinian symbol, and somebody will confront me. People are almost looking to confront others. And this is where folks like ourselves who are trying to be prepared to try to get through the hard times to catch the other side. And I love the way Economic Ninja says it is, you'll have the hard times now, but you're going to catch, if you play it right, you catch the upswing on the other side, and your family, your loved ones can thrive. Because there's always another side to it. It's getting through the crap. Got to be careful during that time, because I'm seeing so much aren't going to be worth anything if there's no power. Well, yeah, exactly. Hey, good morning, DRP. So, and actually, to the point about stealing TVs, the funniest video I saw was from a body cam of another guardsman after Katrina hit. Hey, Skydive. They were stopping civilians, and a lot of civilians were looting because they just needed food, right? And the rule was, if they had food, clothing, like need to have stuff, just go, whatever. And this one guy goes by, I think it was on the news too. He had a case of beer and a little box of like 4 wine bottles. And then he had bread and, food. And the soldiers were like, what are you doing? And he said, I gotta eat, but I'm stuck with my wife, so we needed a drink. And you could hear these cops and soldiers crack up, and they're like, well, I tell you not to drive, but there's nowhere to go. So just get home safe. How about that? And he said, yes, sir. And they just like waved him through. I mean, he had a case. What else is he gonna do, right? But we're not seeing that now. Now they're stealing frivolous bullshit, and they're hurting people. I mean, this whole thing about sucker punching folks in the street, knocking them out. Who would do that? What have we come to in our society that it's okay to just randomly punch someone, possibly hit their head on the pavement and screw them up for years, because it's funny. They're not even videotaping it. Then you have the online pranksters. One idiot got shot because he clearly screwed up, and he wound up in the hospital for a week. People are not right, and for no reason, just because they're stressing. Oh, Farmer, that's exactly where I'm going with this. We've got so many things, and we've imported problems. Okay, there's an imam who he calls himself the progressive imam, and he said, you all have screwed up in the West because you've allowed the people. Egypt doesn't want them, Jordan doesn't want them, Saudi doesn't want them. They would throw them in jail, but you've allowed them to come into your country, and you're not verifying who they are. And we've imported more problems, and that's not even talking about cartels. So folks, pay attention where you're going. If you can legitimately have protective items, do so. And for the record, I did do a little research. The Byrna, the pepper ball gun thing, is legal in all 50 states. Yeah, Neil, I don't understand that, because like Jordan doesn't want to touch that. They're like, nope. Jordanians and the Egyptians both. So folks, it's gonna get very unstable. Pay attention to your local area and look for changes in the behavior or the patterns of behavior of the local society. Hey, Boo. Welcome. It's the 3-month following in their car, and we were walking down the street. Hello, white people, over and over. Oh, wow. See, and that's weird. Like, what is going on? And it's like they're looking for trouble. So folks, pay attention to where you are. If you're gonna travel, and I've made videos on this, a lot of us have, do some homework. If I'm gonna go from West Texas, from my little city out here, and I'm gonna go to like Houston, right, which is one of the big four. I lived in Houston for over a decade. I'm still gonna go and check Facebook. What's going on locally? I read the local news before I even get in the car the next day. Make sure I've got my pews, I've got my equipment. People know the route I'm taking. People know where I'm going. Oh, that's interesting, old Joe. I've got a bunch of Cuban guys here, but they're all pissed at the communists. So, like, I've never heard such a lecture about how Fidel Castro was an asshole as I did from an old Cuban guy who brought his whole family here. And I'm waiting for the wife to open a Cuban bakery because I love that food. I grew up around that, so that's yummy. Anyway, no, and Joe, you may be in the middle of nowhere. Oh, Neil, the Cubans are so pissed with what's going on right now. Like everyone I meet, they're like, "What are you doing? You broke it." Yeah, but folks, pay attention to the changes, and you guys have pointed out some good ones and weird stuff. Like the guy who noticed all the grandma shopping carts. If you see something weird, packages, stuff like that, tell the store manager, hey, so this isn't right. The worst case that happens, they send the police car over or a fire truck just to poke at it and see what it's about. My fear is all these little shopping cart games they're playing in Queens is dry runs. Let's see how long it takes for people to notice the shopping cart. How long does it takes for cops to show up? Augustin vegetable soup is caca. Yeah, start a hunting club with friends, start practicing. Yes, so to Neil's point, Joe, that was awesome. It's caca. By the way, the Augustin farm products are better if you mix them with a little bit of canned food or some rice. That'll really like bulk them up. I'm a member of a shooting club out here in West Texas that has tactical bays. So I'll either go with the guys or I'll go by myself, and I'll get the small bay, set up targets, and I'll run drills. Now the small bay is pistol caliber only, so I got to use the pistol cal AR. I'll do drills, pistol to rifle transition. I actually had a new sling, and I made a video on that'll post later, where I got hung up in my own sling while I'm doing the drill. And I stopped. I had to cease fire, clear my weapon, remove the sling. I was like, okay, this clearly is not a good product. For me, anyway. Learn those things at the range. Learn those things Practice firing. Don't wait until something pops off to see if you know how to draw from a concealment holster or from a retention holster. Try it now. If you can't find a safe place, clear your weapon, practice drawing and getting to firing stance. If you don't want to do it with a real pistol, I just bought an airsoft for 20 bucks on Amazon, which is the exact size of my VP9. It fits the holster, so I'm going to start doing drills with that. I don't even need the BBs. I don't care. I want to draw. I want to holster. I want to get that muscle memory so I know how to engage quickly, so it becomes a second instinct. It's not something I think about. Also, practice with your tourniquets. Pick a tourniquet from your set, the old one, and show your kids, show your family members how to use an Israeli bandage, a tourniquet. Okay? Right now, my son and his wife, the youngest, both military. They're trained. Middle son, Army guy also, married a nurse. Not worried about them. Daughter's a veterinarian, engaged to an oncologist. Not worried about them. My wife has no CPR training. So I told her, you're going to get CPR trained because what if something happens to me? And she goes, shit, I didn't think of that. So, and my wife completely red-pilled herself 2 months ago, and now everything's different. I don't know who she was following, but she absolutely red-pilled herself. She was already a bit red-pilled, but now she really, I don't know, she went into some super maroon pill or something. I don't know what the hell happened, but like she came back with all sorts of canned food. She's like, look, I have inventory. And she had it all broken out. I'm like, well, shit. Okay, so she's on game. You know, she's on point now. But anyway, folks, watch the streets, stock up what you can, stay on your budgets, but watch what's going on. All these fighting videos, they're attacking people who are not provoking them. Not just for financial gain like a thief. They're just wanting to hurt people. There's something wrong. I'm not a churchy guy, but it borders on being demonic, honestly, the way some of this behavior is. And it's absolutely insane that this kind of stuff is happening. Watch yourselves, watch your six, and get to know some people who are like-minded. Even if you don't form a formal mag, just having friends who think like you means you have a point of reference to collaborate. And if you're gonna travel, if you have friends along the way, for instance, Cold War Prepper, Texas Red Leg, Red October, and myself, we all have each other's numbers and addresses. If anyone is somewhere near the other and we need a place to land for 6 hours while we figure out what to do next and fill up our water bottles, we've got a place to go. So collab with each other if you have friends locally. But folks, I've got to run. I better go get that meeting and go harass my boss. I got to bug him about something anyway. But you guys, be good, be safe, stay frosty. What I've seen in the last 48 hours is really concerning to me because people are not acting normal. And I think it's just a combination of all of the above. So you guys be careful out there and keep out of trouble. God bless, Godspeed. I'll see you all later, and thanks all of you. Fed Up American, thank you for volunteering to be my mod for the day. And everyone knows everyone is someone that does. Yeah, Tiger, absolutely. That's the Mexican. Find the families that own bakeries, because chances are they also have been farmers at some point. They usually go hand in hand in the South American culture, and those are great people to get to know. And I got a bunch of rancheros out here, like these boys. They've got the damn Sicario rifles with the gold inlays. Like, that's some bougie stuff, and they can shoot straight. So I'm like, and a lot of them served in our military, so they're great with me too. But anyway, guys, be careful out there. God bless, Godspeed, and pay attention to what's going on. Thank you all for your time, and I hope I helped you out a little bit. Pay attention to what's going on. It's kind of ugly.